it's rare that a new game is something that we get to talk about, but uh, with a release that's still probably 7 months away, and wow, that feels like a very long time. Star Trek Into the Unknown is starting to become a little bit more known to us. Jerry, welcome in. And
Thank you.
this preview kit is what stores will be receiving. And it's what was being demoed at the Alliance Open House last Friday. That's, let's see, September 8th, if I have my dates correct.
Yep. Yep. In Fort Wayne. Yep.
Okay, that's where it was. Got it.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess basics. We should start with basics. This is not Star Trek Attack Wing.
Nope.
I,
Not
I,
Star Trek Attack Wing, and it's not an Armada version of Attack Wing either.
I want to say this is Star Trek Attack Wing: The Next Generation.
I think that's fair to say.
I just okay. Initial thoughts, and if you're curious, go watch the demo video that Scott Pittner, I think that's how to pronounce his last name,
Yes.
that he put up on YouTube. That link will be in the description, or is in the description at this point, because I learned much from watching that.
Yes.
I am fascinated by how freely ships move in this game.
Yes. So it's they definitely do not follow the same rules that Attack Wing does for ship maneuvers. And at first impressions of it, it threw me off a little bit. Um, but watching the demo again on the second playback, after physically having the demo in my hands, because thankfully one of the stores around in my area got their hands on a demo early, so I was able to actually have it in my hands and see it and touch the things.
Mm.
And I kind of understand the demo a little bit better. The ship movement part is huge. It's going to be a game changer, um, because you don't have to just move forward anymore. You can do a 90-degree turn and you can plan ahead
Right.
much easier.
And I think it becomes something that it's so much more objective, moving point to point freely focused. It's not this slow plotting anticipation of where is a ship going to be in 2 to 3 turns to set up my perfect shot now, because that's the best opportunity I'm going to have to get you.
Yes.
Uh,
Yep. Exactly.
One thing that really interested me was how shield values are kind of set, and they're set kind of in quadrants or certain areas, almost like the AI arcs from Alliance. So like there was a shot that Scott put onto the Jem'Hadar fighter,
hmm
and because he hit the aft quadrant that had less shields, or like the aft starboard side or port side, I think it was the aft starboard side, that only had 2 shields, so it only canceled out 2 damage.
hmm
Whereas if it had been a shot that had to go into the forward section, it would have had more shields.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like those values might be adjustable as well. Um,
Quite
I'm not
possibly.
100% sure on that because we don't have the actual rule book to look at yet. Um, but yeah, yeah, I think having set shield values like that in different areas is a smart idea, and it's something that people have talked about introducing in Attack Wing 2.0 or how to do it, and I think it's done well here.
And another thing that I thought was done really well was that different weapons on a ship that come standard have different firing arcs, and even the Defiant has almost a 180 firing arc, or so it seemed.
Yes.
And even if it's
The-
not 180, it's wider than this kind of narrow 90 arc that we're used to seeing. And
yes.
that at least excites me because it's like, okay, I'm anticipating a Galaxy is going to have some sort of built in almost 360 fire. That will probably be true of the inevitable Intrepid and Sovereign class ships.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think taking a step back, real quick.
Sure.
Um, I just want to say that the game is designed um, by Alex Davey. I think he's the lead designer on this. And some people may know him, but if you don't know him, his portfolio includes games such as Star Wars Legion, Star Wars X-wing, and Armada.
Okay.
Um, so there's a lot of those elements that are in this game as well, but it's not a carbon copy of any of those games either. It is its own thing. It's got its own movement to it, um, and looking at all of the pieces and all of the things and all of the cards today, you can definitely tell that whoever designed this has a love of Star Trek, and they have a feel of what it is for to have a Star Trek based game. Um, with Attack Wing, I think its major fault is it doesn't capture Star Trek very well. As in, what I mean by that is Attack Wing is more of a joust, right? It's one person trying to defeat the other. Whereas if you watch the demo video that Scott put up over on his channel, I think it's Paper and Plastic Sports and Games. Um, they're actually not trying to shoot each other right away. They're trying to do objectives and get these victory points. And I think there's a card that actually, I think I took a picture of it. Let me see if I can find it. There's a card that goes with the Federation side that says that you can't attack first, and if you do, you get negative victory points because let's face it, Starfleet doesn't fire first.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I remembered that. I don't know if it was a card, but I remember it being something in the demo video. It was if you attack first, you lose 2 points, but then you kind of gain a mission that'll reward you with points if you go and destroy opponent ships.
yes, yeah,
Which
uh,
is fascinating to me, right? You kind of change the mission parameters from explore to exterminate.
yes,
And this game starts off peaceful. We have these objectives to accomplish. Then, once that's been done, there's a different tact to happen, and that changes based on where this almost like control element based on certain things that have happened, dice rolls that have happened in the game,
hmm
and there's ways to convert dice, but it's not like Attack Wing where ships are taking actions. That you're just going to sit there and have tokens and do all kinds of crazy things with your tokens, because ships seem to not even have basic actions. It's all based on the characters that you bring in.
yes. And I did get a look at the character list that came in the demo box, um, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more as we talk. But I just wanted to bring that up. That this is definitely this game feels more Star Trek than anything I've touched um, coming out of WizKids, and I'm very happy and very excited for it.
So I'll walk through my timeline with
Okay,
this game. I mean, it's been what, like 4 days,
yeah,
and you can walk through yours. So I guess before Friday, we heard the name. We knew the event was coming. Friday morning comes. I see the pictures on my way to work
Mm.
because that's the time difference and the advantage of being on Pacific time. And Jerry and I have a chat going, and I had made arrangements where if the game was like mega important, we were gonna get a recording in Friday night, and it was gonna be uploaded over the weekend. Well, obviously that didn't happen, and I think it's more that news just took a little longer to trickle in. The demo
Hmm.
video took longer to come in. But like my first impressions, I literally said I'm whelmed. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm not overwhelmed. But things have changed. Once I got to see it played, once I got to see more, I have become more intrigued, more excited. There's a little bit of me that's apprehensive by organized play, and if they go the route of OP exclusive models, I'm very hesitant because I'm just at a different point in my life. However, they have foil cards, and if you just take normal cards and you foil them, and that's your organized play prizes, great, I'm all in for that. Have fun.
Yeah.
That's my only hesitation right now. The mechanics look super solid, and I think at one point I went, this is the Star Trek board game I have wanted for a long time. I have Star Trek Ascendancy. I really like that, but that's a
Yep.
big picture. That's the 20,000 foot view, or that's almost like the Q level view of Star Trek. You are playing God in
Yeah.
Star Trek Ascendancy. Star Trek Into the Unknown, you are playing a fleet captain, an admiral. You get to control the ships. I think this is the combat game I've wanted. I've gone through fleet captains with WizKids. I liked
Hmm.
it. Had a lot of fun with it. Sold it. I've gone through Attack Wing, obviously. Uh, think the game's great with its flaws. But this game has very much intrigued me. Not because it's to scale. I really don't care about scale, but there is something satisfying about scale, I will admit. But just mission objectives. I've gotten way more interested in missions and the theme of the game, and because of that, this has like hit home at the right time for me.
Yeah. Um, so my timeline is, yep, Friday. I actually knew a couple of people who were going to the open house. Um, so I was kind of getting stuff trickled in. Scott being one of them that I knew that was going to be there. Um, way through a mutual friend of ours. Um, so I was happy to start seeing stuff trickle in. And David's right. I was also very whelmed. Um, but that was just like their upfront presentation, right? It's just slides and a slideshow to me at that point. Um, and I very, very much, and I think I told David this too, or I told you, David, that I very much needed to wait for the demo video to be played
Mm-hmm.
for me to make any kind of decision on if, yeah, I was going to spend my time in transition to this game. Um, and after seeing the demo video, I kind of made that decision like, yep, okay, this is probably something I'm going to get involved with. And then when I heard the news today that the game store just down the road from where I work had a demo version in house, I knew right as soon as I got off at 4 o'clock Eastern time, I had to go down there and put my hands on it. And thankfully I did. And they're very nice down there. And they allowed me to take pictures and we'll talk about the cards because I do have some things to say about the cards.
Yeah. Um,
But I think you're right with organized play. It's going to be interesting how they try to pull that off. Um, what kind of missions they're going to try and do with that, just based off of what we heard. Gameplays, how long it's supposed to take. Um, there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to OPs at this point,
right.
but I
And they
welcome
may
them.
not know.
Yeah,
But, this is not the 1 hour attack wing game. WizKids is projecting this is a 2 to 3 hour game.
yeah,
Which, okay, I'm okay with that. I've played my share of 2 to 3 hour games. I enjoy many of them. That doesn't
yeah.
scare me. But if you want me to play more than one game of this in a tournament setting, that's a really long Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Maybe impossibly long for where I am at this stage of life. And I know I'm not the only consideration. I get that.
Yeah,
And I don't think organized play is my determining factor of whether or not I go all in on this game. But I think there's a few factors there. Um, yeah.
yeah. And then touching on scale, because I
Yes.
know that's a big selling point, and I know there is a group of attack wing players out there that have been calling for scale for a really long time. Um, and personally, scale didn't bother me too much until I saw the models today
Mm.
next to an attack wing model, and I have quickly come to appreciate the level of detail between the two models is amazing, and B, just how good the scaling actually looks. So
Yes.
that's going to be huge. I think from the presentation, the PowerPoints that we saw, or the images of the PowerPoints we saw, um, the Galaxy class is going to have more than one base,
Mm-hmm.
where the Defiant is running on just one base. So you've already got a pretty good scale comparison there. Um, and to be fair, the demo version of the game doesn't come with a Galaxy class. The demo version only came with two ships, and that was an attack or a Jem'Hadar attack ship, the Bug, and the USS Defiant. Which between those two ships, you can see some scale in there because attack ships were always smaller. Um, Not by much, but they are smaller than the Defiant, and that is well represented in so far from what I've seen.
Which is important, right? It gives me a
Yeah,
lot of hope that capital ships, the mega capital ships, are going to feel big and important.
yeah,
I mean, we're getting a Jem'Hadar battleship in the starter, right?
I think so.
The big one. I mean, maybe not Wayun's battleship, the big control ship,
Mhm.
but like a battleship. That's a big ship.
I think what I
Um,
read is there were six ships in the starter set.
yeah, I think it's Defiant, Constellation,
Yeah,
Galaxy, and then two bugs and the battleship.
and to be completely honest, the Constellation is an interesting choice.
It is.
I don't hate it, but for a game that's set in the Dominion War time period, it's an interesting choice.
It feels wrong, and I don't. I'm not in the position. I'm not questioning WizKids here,
No,
but in a way, I am because when I think of the Dominion War, I think of the Defiant, obviously.
yes,
I think of Galaxy, right? That was
hmm,
the tipping point. The Jem'Hadar crashing into the Odyssey.
yep. Odyssey, the Venture,
I think of the Venture, right? Um, And the Galaxy's a classic ship,
Yep.
right? The Enterprise D, obviously. Okay. Then I think of Excelsiors,
Hmm.
and I think of the Miranda class,
Miranda class, Akira class.
the Akira as well. I associate the Akira more with First Contact. That's just me.
That's true. That's where we got the nice, beautiful shot. But there is, you go back and watch the Battle of Chintaka. There's a couple of Akiras flying around.
Yeah,
One of
but
them doesn't fare so well, but it's there.
what did?
Yeah, right.
What really did fare that well? But okay, my real association with the Miranda through the Dominion War is there's a beautiful foil 34th Rule of Acquisition, War is Good for Business, CCG card that was like this promo tournament winner foil card, gorgeous foiling because the phaser strike through the whole of this severed Miranda, and I have a copy of it, and it was a gorgeous card. So that's one of the reasons I associate Miranda's. Now, I think this is pure speculation. I think the Miranda is probably being saved for TOS era.
Yes, and I think they did say something about that. Um,
Yes, I think they
they
said
said
that's a
something.
desire,
Yeah,
meaning they're probably planning on it.
yeah. I think one of the interesting questions will be how do factions mix? Do
Ugh.
eras mix? Um, but that's all future stuff that we'll learn about eventually.
It is, and you know what? Whatever the case is, um, I have higher hopes this time around because I think it's a fool who makes the same mistakes twice.
Yes,
I
and
not to
please,
call anyone a fool here, but I was having this conversation with a student today. I said, "Hey, you made a mistake. In fact, you made two mistakes today. Can you learn from it? Or tomorrow, are you going to make the same mistake again?" Now, these
yeah,
are seventh graders, 12-year-olds. Of course, they're going to make the same mistake. Hopefully, not tomorrow, but uh, the goal is to learn from mistakes. And again, I've been on the side. I don't think faction mixing is bad. I think the way in which it was done was bad.
yeah. And if anybody from WizKids or if Mr. Davey sees this video, this is my plea. Please do not wrap the Cardassians into Dominion. Make them so they can play with each other, but do not limit them.
Yeah. Same for Breen, please.
Yes.
Like subfaction. Okay, subfactions are one of the best things that WizKids did.
Hmm.
Is to say, yes, they are part of this, but they are their own entity. And the Cardassians, if we're going to have next generation play, and again, don't know that we will, but I think there's lots of really cool missions that exist in a Federation versus Klingon versus Romulan versus Cardassian
Hmm.
type
Yeah.
time frame. Even Ferengi had lots of cool missions they like to go on with
Yep.
their own objectives. The Cardassians should be their own faction, or at least their own identifiers of what can be Cardassian.
Yes.
Name them all
Yes.
Dominion. That's fine. Name them all Dominion. But let every Cardassian card be called Cardassian. Have
Yes.
some identifier of Cardassia. I'm fine with that. Yeah. So, $100 or sorry, $150 core set.
Yes.
That's a sticker shock. But I saw that and I went, okay, Star Wars Shatterpoint. That's their new miniatures game.
Hmm.
Granted, it's ground troops, it's figures. And I think it might have terrain. I don't know. I didn't get that into it. I'm pretty sure that was about the same price, if not a little more. I think that might have gone to 180. doesn't scare me. Now, granted, for 6 ships, the return on investment is not amazing
Yeah.
until you start looking at what else is in here and the fact that we're getting ship boards, not just cards, ship boards
Hmm.
with dials for every ship, tokens, a lot of cards. And I mean, cards are pretty cheap, but
Yeah.
relatively to produce. But these ship boards, they look good. They got pretty
Yeah.
cool artwork on them too. I
I,
like
I,
the
I
little
was going to say, you got to
blueprint.
consider that all the artwork is custom.
I like that.
So we're not talking about just going online and grabbing screen grabs anymore. So all the artwork on the cards in the shipboards themselves are custom. Um,
So my response to the $150 price tag, yeah, it's a lot, but I I think it's an investment of a lot of good hours of fun.
yes.
And I know personally, yes, I'm a YouTuber, but I don't get paid enough to, I don't make enough on YouTube to, fund my entire gaming hobby. But I can sacrifice other things, not buy games, and save up for this.
Yep.
I'll be okay. What the problem becomes is if they start releasing like 3 expansions a month, every month, and
Yes.
I hope we don't go back to that because I was talking, I think it was to Will Sanchez, Mr. State of the Federation, from
Mm.
many years ago, and I said I think I am expecting $25 to $50 expansions.
Yeah.
Just
I would say, yeah. I was thinking around the same thing.
with the level of detail that's on the ships, with the amount of stuff they're going to have to include, you need a shipboard, you need the dials, you need the class specific damage deck,
Yep.
you need more cards.
Yep.
I mean, that's all standard, but the ship model, the base, the shipboard, and those aren't going to be easy to ship either. These are not going to be small uh, retail space expansions.
Right. Yeah, because they're going to want to display the ships loud and proud in the front, like they do with the Armada ones, I would think.
So I wonder. Here's a here's my teacher language. I wonder if they're going to go with single ship expansions, and I don't think they will. I think everything we're going to get will at least be a double.
Yeah, that's quite possible. And we have heard through the grapevine, or at least I have, from the people who were there at the Alliance open house, that they were told that the next faction to come out is going to be Romulans.
Hmm.
So we are getting Romulans coming. I would expect Klingon not far behind, especially if they're talking being in this Dominion war setting. Um,
You can't have a Dominion war without the Klingons.
I know, right?
Ooh.
I did find it interesting. I was thinking about this today. I did find it interesting that it seems like every game from WizKids that starts off with Star Trek is Dominion War themed.
Hmm.
So Attack Wing didn't start off that way, but think about the first OPs.
Yeah.
It was the Dominion War storyline, and then Alliance is obviously through the Dominion War.
Yeah.
And now we get this game, which is Dominion War based.
Fleet Captains was Dominion War.
There you go.
I mean, it wasn't, but it they used those factions.
Yeah, and maybe that's the easy. Maybe that's just the easier way to do it. Again, not a complaint or a criticism, just an interesting tidbit that I thought of today.
I think it's the one time you see those 4 factions at
Yeah,
war.
yeah, that's true.
I suppose you could make an argument of doing Klingon Civil War for 3 factions, but it's not like the Federation really went to fight.
That's true.
Plus, Klingon Civil War, you didn't have the Defiant, and everybody likes the Defiant.
It's a tough little ship.
It is. Little. Sorry,
So
necessary response.
no, right. Um, so yeah, talking about the models again. So we talked about the scale of them, um, and I don't know if you're going to show the picture that I
Yep.
took. I did get a picture of the Defiant model sitting next to an Attack Wing Defiant model, so you can A, see the scale between the two, and B, see the amount of detail that was actually put into the paint job of the ships that's coming in this new game. Um,
Yeah. Little smaller with Into the Unknown,
yep.
but way more detailed.
Yeah, I mean, if you look close at it, it's got a Starfleet Delta on it towards the nose of the Defiant. And I didn't take a side profile picture, but on the nacelles, it has the registry number.
So, okay,
So
that's
they were,
showing some love.
yeah, yeah, and you can see from the attack wing model that it's missing, the name of the ship. It's missing that little extra red stripe at the fore of the ship with the
Oh,
delta.
yeah. I mean, it's missing the nose being the escape pod nose being a different color too.
Yes.
But
Yep. And I mean the Gemini bug, it doesn't have as much detail on it, but they never did. But it's got a nice paint job. It's very metallic looking.
mm-hmm.
Very it's got the right highlights and the right colors in the color scheme. To make it for me to pass.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think the attack wing bugs were ever bad.
No,
Maybe
they're all different.
yeah. The original ones were not great. A little too plasticky, but
Yeah, weren't they like a matte deep purple?
yeah. But short of that, they weren't ever bad. Again, we're being very nitpicky here.
Yeah.
These are, I think they look nice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, let's talk about the character cards.
Sure.
Um, so I've had the character cards in my hand, and I am going to tell you that I think the one thing that people are going to have to get used to is that they are about the size of a damage card from Attack Wing.
Oh.
They are small. They are also thick. So in the demo set, the Jean-Luc Picard, it's hard to make out in the picture that I took. That's because that's the foil version. So it kind of reflects the light a little differently than the rest. So that card alone is thicker than the rest, just because it is the foil version. The others are a little more flimsy, but they each have their own artwork on them, and they each have different things. And I wish I would have taken a picture of the backs of them, and I forgot to do it. But in the demo, you can see that they flip the cards over because they do things on the back that relate to your ship. But they have flavor texting, which I like Vigilant Security Officer or Daring First Officer. And I really like that. Looking at them, they have the correct uniforms on. You can definitely tell that Picard's got his TNG uniform with a TNG comm badge. You've got Cisco with the DS9 uniform on with a TNG comm badge, but he's also that's that one weird season where he had facial hair and hair on top.
Oh yeah, like that's late 2, early 3.
Yeah. But then the crew are all alien species, which I really like. The engineer is an Andorian. The security chief is a Benzite. The first officer is a Bolian. granted they're all blue species, but the artwork is nice and beautiful in them all, I believe. So that's again, shout out to the creator for bringing in extra races and extra things. The artwork on these is great, and you can tell there's some love. You got the deep cut. I think because the Benzites have only ever been in like 2 or 3 episodes themselves, so just having them represented here is kind of cool.
Yeah, and all of those were like next gen episodes, I want to
I think
think.
there was one that was in DS9. She didn't last very long.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Ensign Hoya. She was flying the runabout in orbit before Cisco got captured.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. And then on the Dominion side, you've got you've got a Vorta diplomat. You got the Jem'Hadar second. You got Talak Talam, a Karama researcher. Like, and again, it's all you can tell. Like Picard, Cisco, Talak Talam. It's original artwork, but it's all based off of the episodes that we have them in. Whereas like the Karama researcher, that's new artwork, or the Vorta diplomat, that's different artwork. That's all new. So yeah, I think that's just going to add to the game and add to its value.
I think that does a lot, and it more so it gives them room to expand the character profiles too. They're no longer hamstrung or handcuffed by, oh, well, did they appear in an episode?
Yes.
Now it's like, okay, so what if we only saw uh, a Vulcan as a security chief, right, Tuvok? So what if we never saw uh, a Vulcan medical officer? I know we did.
Hmm.
I know we've seen a Vulcan medical officer, but who cares
shout
that
out,
we?
shout out, Sealock.
Yes, or Salar.
Oh yeah, Sealar. There we
Yeah,
go.
or whatever else. A Vulcan engineer. Wait, we saw one of those too.
Shout out Vorik.
I'm picking the wrong faction. Okay, a Ferengi. We've never seen a Ferengi medical doctor. We had Dr. Rega, but he was an engineer.
Yep, yep.
Right, so we need a Ferengi medical doctor. Okay, we can have one of those. We just call him Ferengi Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have whoever you need. And then, if you have named characters, I'm sure those are better, cost more, do something different. Who cares? They're there. They give you different fleet options.
Yes.
And you could even have a Vorta diplomat, but you could have a Vorta researcher. Because I'm sure Vorta somewhere is doing research on something.
Yep.
And they're just out there doing all kinds of stuff. Which is, again, it opens up all kinds of possibilities with these crew, the commanders, the tactical officers. It's yeah, I'm very intrigued, and in one of the promo images they showed Odo Jadzia Bashir, I think it was.
Hmm.
So okay, named characters are coming. I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But just from the range of characters here, your named commanders are costing 14 and 11 with Picard and Cisco. Your
Hmm.
your other characters seem to be costing 6, 7, 5.
Yep.
I have no idea what the point scale is on this game right now, and it's probably that commanders are costing the most anyways. But
Yeah.
this is another thing. It seems like we're not limited on a point scale, because the fact that you can have a captain that costs 14 points says a lot to me.
Yeah.
Costs twice as much as another crew. That's just that's really cool. And that I guess we haven't necessarily seen super cheap crew, but given, yeah, another gameplay element I like is
Yes.
that you get to refresh 3 crew every round. But there's no limit on how many crew you can use each round. So to me, it's, well, you're always going to use 3 if you don't have 3 exhausted crew.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have somebody you really need, you're going to make sure you can refresh them, and there's kind of this give and take and a balance to be had, and there's a lot of decision space here. See, I think in Attack Wing, there was never a reason you wouldn't use an ability.
Right.
Now there is.
Right. Yeah.
And like now there's a time you wouldn't make an attack because you don't want to go weapons hot and lose those points and let your opponent go weapons hot for free. And it's like there's just thought in everything. I think that's my big takeaway is there's thought in everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. And expanding on that, I think one of the things that I'm actually kind of excited about with this game is, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier, class specific damage decks.
Mm,
Um, because let's face it, a Defiant class takes damage differently than a Galaxy class does.
yep.
You know, Defiant's got a blade of hull armor, where a Galaxy class does not. The Gemini fighter is built to take damage and ram into things. Um, so I'm very intrigued by a class specific damage deck. Um, Now, when I looked at the demo pack, they only had like 3 damage cards per ship. So I don't think the damage decks were full. Um, but the abilities were all related to the class, and I really like that. So again, opening up more options for the future and thematicism in the damage that those ships take.
Although they could potentially be full if those ships. I suppose you only need as many damage cards as a ship has hull.
True.
And sure, that limits some replayability because you know what you're up against. You
Mhm.
know the damage you're going to take. But that also makes it way more testable.
That's true. I didn't even think about it that way.
Because if you know when your Defiant suffers critical damage, it's going to take effect A, B, or C. Well, let's
Mhm.
plan for those.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think I'm okay either way that works.
Yeah, it's not, again, not a criticism on my part. I like it, whether that's the case or not. I think I like it either way.
And so, like, a galaxy, which is going to be bigger, have more damage it can suffer before it goes boom, would have more damage cards and more ways that things can go wrong on the ship.
Huh.
I don't know. That's a thought.
Yeah.
I put on my own designer cap. Not that I have anything published, but that I think that's how I would go about it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I kind of like that. Now that it's said out loud, um, I like that a lot more than just it. Maybe the decks aren't full. No, I actually kind of like that better.
More so, I like it way more than okay, you're targeting the Dauntless, for instance,
Yeah.
and you draw the crit that says discard a weapon. Well, that ship can't even take a weapon upgrade. So the critical damage does 0, does nothing other than a normal damage.
Right.
That's why class specific damage decks exist. And I know that X-Wing in their 2.0 had gotten to the point of at least faction specific damage.
Hmm.
This takes it a step further and says, well, why not make it ship specific?
Yeah.
I go, why not? Let's go for it. If we're gonna invest that much, um, yeah, great. Let's go for it. Boy, that's going to be a sorting nightmare. But
Yeah, yeah, storage.
time
Figure out
to yeah,
storage.
I'm just thinking time to buy stock in mini American card sleeves now.
Oh yeah.
They're out
Um,
there.
so moving to the bases for the ships.
Yeah.
So the bases are not your typical square bases any longer. At least not for this game. They are more of a rectangle shape with little circle chunks taking out of each side.
Yeah, I don't know that you got a picture of those, but that's
I
okay.
I,
They're in the demo.
I do. Let me double. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. It's with a side by side. Um, so there are so the ships sit on pegs just like an attack wing. But then there are four slots on the base itself for a couple of the tokens that they have.
Okay.
And I did take pictures of the token sheets. But the tokens like trauma tokens, standby weapons, sensor locks, unit ID numbers, those tokens are smaller and they fit right into those four circle slots. The In the demo, we see them use the turn. Um, I gotta think what they officially called it in the demo. Um, but it's that silver circle piece with a straight. It's called a turning tool.
Yeah.
So though that fits into the little circle bites that are taken out of each side of the base, and there are arrows. There are lines and arrows that are pointing to it because on that circle on the turning tool, there are lines that represent um, like the amount you can turn. So in the demo, I think he said the Defiant can turn up to three. So he was able to turn that tool one, two, three to do almost like a not a 90-degree turn, but
135.
yeah,
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 so instead of straight, not even a right turn, but a right turn plus. So it's not quite a come about, but it's yeah, almost all the
right,
way.
right. And that turn tool actually has a section of it that is raised up off the table. So the and I took a side picture of that
Yep,
for you.
got that. Love it.
So the range ruler or the movement ruler, the ruler that they use, just slides right under it, and then you can slide that up and down. So you can physically put that down, figure out where you want to turn, slide the range or the movement ruler in, pick the ship off the table, and then just adjust where you want this turn tool to be. And then when you have where you want to go, you put the ship back on the table.
Right. The movement is genius. Like
Yeah,
I think just just watching it, it seemed like the first time, maybe two times, it's gonna be super weird,
yep,
and then it's just gonna work.
yep.
And
And
I'm gonna
then
start feeling like, why do I mess with attack wing tiles?
um, the other thing with the bases is the front and the back have a 45-degree chunk taken out too.
Ah,
And that's for the range rulers to fit in.
ooh, okay.
So they fit in there a little bit better than how we would with attack wing, where you just set the ruler on top. So these ones actually fit into the groove of the base. And then of
That's
course again on the so in the demo when he did the warp action, which hey guys, this game we're going to be able to warp. Crazy.
yeah.
There on the side of the bases, the longer side, there's actually grooves that that movement template fits into. Again, So that the base was really well thought out, and it's very well constructed from what I've seen.
Yeah, like in the demo video, warp seemed like a weird action, like and almost unnecessary.
Yeah, for where the objective that he was trying to get to was, but um, looking at how so it wasn't really well explained in the demo. Um, and on the token sheets, there's actually these 45-degree corners that you get. There's four of them. The corners are what represents the like the play area, the map, the
Okay.
corners of the map. They're kind of the other templates that you see that form the circle. Those are your like system markers.
Okay.
So he had to warp into system to do whatever action or whatever objective he was trying to do, which was scan what was ever on those objective tokens. So it seemed unnecessary, but that's just how he had to enter system.
Right. And I've heard that that's how you're going to move from system to system, which, okay, that makes sense. And we could see scenarios where there's two systems on the board at the same time.
Yes, and I've heard so. Again, this is coming from my contact that I had at the open house. The standard play mat is going to be 3x3, but they are working on 3x6 as well.
Ugh. 3x6 is just, it's rough. There's not that many tables for 3x6. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
But 3x6 is just, oh, that makes a big table.
yeah, and maybe when they do these OPs, maybe it's more than one player playing on a table, or more than two players playing on a table.
I feel like it would have to be.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning with it.
But we shall
But
see.
yeah, so there are a couple other cards that came in the demo pack too, which I would think they're really akin to like upgrade cards.
Mm.
Um, it's a photon torpedo and a quantum torpedo card.
Hmm.
Exactly how those fit in, I am unsure of because I don't know if they touched that in the demo.
They talked about them at the end.
Okay.
Um, and they said you can launch a torpedo. It has a timer equipped to it as a fuse.
Hmm.
And so torpedoes are launched in a line, and if they collide with a ship, they detonate. And they have some special rules on how those work.
Yeah, because looking at the token sheet, it looks like photon torpedoes have their own token, and
Mm-hmm.
quantum torpedoes have tokens now too. Okay, so that makes more sense why those tokens exist. I just did a quick read through the photon torpedo, and it looks like detonates if the token is 1 inch of the opposing units before or after move. Interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, so like lots of things that are 1 inch or 2 inch, which is, 2 inch is half of range one, just what we're
Yeah.
used to. So that's getting really close. But given that there's so much more flexibility in movement, I think it's going to happen a lot more.
Yep.
There's a lot more balance here. No, I get super excited with what this can become, because there were like question marks out on the board at the end that they didn't get to, and I'm like, I want to know what these question marks do.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I might have a picture of them. I don't know if they're labeled though.
I'm sure they're like
No.
in the rule book or in the mission log, and they'll say what they do. But
Yeah, yeah. They must be on the other side of the token board.
yeah,
I don't have a picture of them, but so the one token board that I took a picture of has photon torpedoes, trauma, peril, standby weapons, negative victory points, sensor locks, quantum torpedoes, unit IDs, endurance. There's a priority token, a placement marker, which is kind of nice if you need to remove your ship from the board.
yeah,
Influence marker, which I think is their initiative token. And then there's the victory points, control markers, system markers, measurement aids. Um, and I did. So the picture of the Defiant that I sent you, I kind of cropped it out. Um, but we're getting more than just one range ruler too.
I, that's
So
nice.
we are getting like a range one, a range two, and then the full range three.
Because so many people did that with their
Yeah.
tokens. They got an extra and cut it up, and or like second acrylic companies would make a range one and then a range 1 to 2.
Yep. Yep. And then so we'll get the system markers, the round um, templates, which are plastic, by the way. All the templates are plastic,
Okay,
so they're not cardboard. And then there is a center system marker, which you can see in the demo. He puts a objective token over it,
right.
but there is something that's in the center to mark the center of the token. And then the dice are a little weird. Again, I didn't. The rulebook didn't come with the demo version, so I wasn't able to get a picture of the rule books or what the rules look like. So I'm still in the dark, just as everybody else is, as to what all the icons and things mean. Um, but there was. I may have lost my train of thought. No, I was doing so well. Um, oh yeah, so I don't know what the faces on the dice mean. Um, there was like a success. They talked about in the demo. There was a success and then like a critical success. Um, there are some six-sided dice and some eight-sided dice. So again, I don't know what it all means,
I'm sure we
but
will learn.
I'm excited to find out. That's for sure.
Yeah, this game has seems to have a much higher learning curve, uh, which is slightly disappointing. I mean, I think it's inevitable to have
Yeah,
a much bigger starship, not even tactical game. That's not the right word, but uh, exploration mission play to make it feel like Star Trek. I think it needed to become more complex.
yeah, and I'm here for it. I think to sum this video up, I know we're talking about a lot of things, and the video is probably getting pretty long. Um, for me personally, I'm definitely going to invest in this game. I'm going to get it. I'm going to play. I'm going to figure it out. Um, after seeing all the stuff come out from the Alliance Open House, the demo video that got posted, and then actually getting my hands on the demo itself, um, it's just made me more excited for it. Um, Attack Wing will always be my first real game that got me into the gaming scene. It'll always have a place in my heart. Uh, but I think this is where WizKids is probably going to put a lot of their resources in, and this is going to be their game moving forward.
Yeah. Whew. If I can get a local scene in any way, shape, or form, I feel like this game might actually threaten for my top game. And that's before playing it, so I shouldn't say that, but it has more potential because this is a game. This has the solid game behind it. Um, it just This feels like it has the last 10 years of board game design brought into the Star Trek world.
Yes.
And all that excites me. Um, is it going to have issues? Probably. Is it still going to be really awesome? I think so. Um, but I think it has a lot more potential for those issues to be very minor and to get solved really quickly. And I'm not trying to be a naysayer in any way. I think every game goes through little road bumps along the way. That's what expansions are for. I think the core set's going to come out and people are going to instantly compare it with Attack Wing, and we're not going to have 3,000 cards to go build fleets with.
Yes.
And people are going to go, well, why can't I build with all my favorite characters and all the different things that I'm used to? Because it's not there yet.
Right.
It will be. Give it time.
Yep. Yep. And that, as you said earlier, I really hope that WizKids does a slow burn on this versus shooting everything right out the gate. Um, whether
My
that looks like single ship pack releases or faction pack releases. I just want them to take their time.
yeah, I think again, pie in the sky, just talking about what I'd like. I think I'd like to see 2 to 4 ships come out at a time, come in one box. Give me multiples of anything I could possibly want multiples of. I know I'm dreaming, but I'm gonna hope for now. Um, and aside from that, I'd love to see an expansion a quarter, something like that.
Yeah.
4 per year. I think that's sustainable. And
Yeah, I think so.
although I worry that if they're 4 ships, they're gonna want to charge like $80, but uh, that still might be sustainable. I don't know. That it's a lot of money. As
It
long as
is.
the expansions stay under $100, I think that's a breaking point.
Yeah.
And
Yep. Yep.
please don't touch the Borg with a 10-foot pole.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably the one faction they'll have the most issue trying to balance out of everything.
I'll take missions involving Borg, but don't let anybody play the Borg.
Agreed.
I'll take cooperative play against the Borg. I've heard AI is coming. Let
That
let
was.
AI play the Borg. That's
Yeah.
all I ever want here. All right. Hey, everyone. Uh, that's it, at least for me. Jerry, do you have parting words?
I'm excited.
I
I,
I'm excited as well. We are heading into the unknown. The jokes will be many, will be vast. There might be music involved. I blame Frozen for that. Um, but this game's exciting. At least the teasers for it. So look forward to more news breaking in the next 6 to 7 months, and
yep.
I'm
April 2024.
yeah. Seems like a long time away, but it's still in this school year, so uh, I have that hope going too.
Yep. Yep.
All right, hey everyone, thank you for watching. Jerry, thanks for joining me
Always.
in the first of many videos about Into the Unknown. And
Absolutely.
folks, Bug Whiz Kids, tell them you want Jerry and me covering this game, and like
Please.
a demo copy coming our way. a starter set when it comes out, or when they start sending it to, reviewers and hype people. We're those hype people. You trust us, or you don't trust us. Either way, you're watching us, so you like our opinions. But bug WizKids about us. I'm being selfish at this point, but we've sent WizKids our info. They know how to get a hold of us, but
Yep.
the more people telling them that you want to hear from us, lets them know. So, on that lovely note and self-serving note, thank you all for watching, and check Jerry out on his channel. Links in the description. Thank you all. Appreciate your time. Until next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care.